Was game 2 really basketball, or was it just chaos dressed off as play of intensity? Fans did not just watch the Indiana Fever and Las Vegas as to go head to head. The watched bodies flying, whistles echoing non-stop, and players left limping, while one team got praised and the other got punished. And through it all, Indiana still refused to break. So what really happened, and why does the series look completely different as it heads to Indianapolis? Let's break it down. Nobody expected Indiana to walk into Las Vegas and control the floor from the very first minute. This was supposed to be an easy series for the two-time defending champs, but Game 1 flipped the script completely. The Fever did not game in playing scared, they did not play recklessly either. Instead, they showed the calm discipline you rarely see from such a young team. And right at the center of it was Kelsey Mitchell. Mitchell lighted up the scoreboard with a play of career-high 34 points. Every time Vargas tried to spark a run, she answered step-back threes, drives into traffic, smooth mid-range pull-ups. She had it all. The Arces kept pressing, but Indiana never lost control of the tempo. On the other hand, Argel Wilson had one of our worst playoff shooting nights in memory. 6 makes on 22 attempts. That is the MVP. First into turf. Contested looks like stripped of the rhythm she usually thrives on. It was the kind of game that sent shockwaves through the league. The suppressed underdogs did not just survive in Vegas, they handed the Aces a 16-point blowout on their own floor. The message was loud and clear. Indiana wasn't here to be a stepping stone, they were here to fight. But champions did not go down easy, and emulation has a way of sharpening focus. By the time Game 2 tipped off, the Aces looked like a team determined to send a message of their own. From the opening possessions, the tone was different. This wasn't clean basketball, it was bodies clothing, elbows flying, and defenders daring the referees to step in. Except the referees never really did. Instead of pulling things under control, the whistles only made things worse. 41 fouls were called in one night. 16 of them came in just the third quarter. Imagine trying to build momentum when the game stopped every 10 seconds. For the Fever, it was impossible. Every cut through the lane ended with contact. Every attempt at rhythm got chopped apart from constant stoppage. And yet somehow, the chaos started one way, Vargas to the free throw line. Indiana left frustrated. What should have been a battle of execution turned into something else entirely. For Fever fans, it does not feel like basketball, it felt like a wrestling match dressed up as play of the friends. And yet, in the middle of that all, the chaos, one player became the symbol of Indiana's toughness, Lexie. She wasn't ever supposed to be playing. In Game 1, she's injured her back badly, enough to be listed as a game-time decision. Most players would have sat, faking treatment, and waited for the series to shift back home. But not all. She tapped herself up, walked onto the court, and dared Vargas to test her. And they did. Over and over again, she got knocked down, shot on court, forced into awkward landing. But instead of folding, she fired back with her shooting. All went 5 for 9 from deep, trying the Fever playoff record for 3 in a game. Afterwards, she admitted she was still scared and leaning on constant treatment just to stay on the floor. But her performance spoke louder than any post-game interview. Ul wasn't just playing hurt, she was playing fearless. Vegas knew they could not afford the repeat of Game 1, so while Chaos and Wizards grabbed the spotlight, their smartness adjustment was aimed squarely at Clarkson Mitchell. Mitchell had roasted them for 34 in the opener. Those times she barely cracked 13. That wasn't an accident. The assist face guided her even off the ball. Doubled her every time she scored off a screen. Every drive was cut off by a second defender waiting in the lane, and the physicality made things worse. Every cut through the paint turned into a bump. Every shot felt rushed. Every possession turned into a fight. Instead of running their friends at her own pace, Mitchell was first to give the ball up early. By the time she shook free for an open look, the shot clock was already ticking down. It was the kind of suffocating difference that does not show up in the light and completely changes the game. And for Indiana, losing Mitchell sparked through their rhythm out the window. Still, Indiana wasn't going down within a fight. Aliyah Boston, only in her third season, played like a veteran trapped in a heavyweight brawl. She finished with 10 points and 13 rebounds, but the numbers did not tell the story. Every board came with a hit to the ribs. Every point post up came with a shove to the back. And while Vargas seems to get up free throws from the same level of contact, Boston just had to grit her feet and keep battling. Then there was Odyssey Sim. If Indiana had any hope of keeping things close, it was as she scored a fin, but it felt like more because of how tough every bucket was. Double teams, claps for our arms, constant results stopping her flow. She still pushed through, turning broken plays into basket. Watching Sims that night was watching resilience in real time. She gave Indiana a chance to breathe, even when everything else was stacked against them. Here is the part that stung Fever fans the most. When the final episode sounded, the national conversation wasn't about her toughness. It wasn't about bursting fight. It wasn't even this sheer imbalance of the officiating. Instead, the headlines celebrated her jubiled sons. State led 25 points, 9 rebounds, 5 steals. The numbers looked dominant, but how she got them, that Barry made a mention, because the truth is Wilson's dominant night came with the whistles constantly on the side. She bulldozed away on the rim, drew soft flows, and piled up numbers that looked great on paper but felt completely different. If you were watching, even Becky Hammond, the Irish' own coach, admitted afterward that the game was too physical. That is how out of control things had gotten. So while the box score praised Wilson, the reality on the court was much milker. Now here is where everything changes. The series did not stay in Vegas. It moves to Indianapolis, and that is a whole different battlefield. Cambridge Fieldhouse is not just a home court, it is a weapon. Over 17,000 fans packed inside, screaming at every bump, rising at every call, amplifying every single shot the Fever take. We've already seen it this season. Opponents walk into the building, hold leads in the first half, and crumble as the noise builds in the second. There are no quiet runs in Indy. Every possession feels heavier, every mistake magnified. Even Becky and Amo admitted their experience in Indianapolis has not been great. That is a championship coach acknowledging the power of the Fever's fans base. And here is the hidden truth. Officiating looks different when the crowd reacts to every hit. The contact of Boston would get ignored when the Iran erupt. The shoves on all pass. So yes, Vegas tied the series. They stormed back, they leaned on chaos, and they walked away with a win. But Indiana did not break. All 8 stories on a bad. Boston fought through punishment. They never showed up in the whistle. Sims created offense from scrap. And now the Aces have to work into Green Bridge, where every possession will feel like it is being played under a spotlight. If Indiana already dismantled Vegas once on the road and still fought through madness in Game 2, just imagine what happened with the crowd on their side. Fever's pain is about to turn into power, and the Aces are about to learn what it feels like to face not just 5 players on the court, but thousands of voices in the stands. Show your support for Indiana by dropping a comment. Let's go Lexie. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss what happens next.